All right, so the first question comes from Zombie Wolf. Zombie Wolf says, do you think we as a Diablo community should have more of a vote or say in the game? Like maybe a developer would open up a forum for the top Diablo streamers to come and voice their opinions on the game. Yeah, man. So that's kind of twofold because I think it shouldn't just be limited to streamers. I think that's we have a very narrow viewpoint. We are not casual players, although I don't think games should cater to casual players as much as they do sometimes. But our viewpoint doesn't always match what the majority of the community feels. But yeah, man, I think like Destiny did a community summit where they flew in YouTubers and Twitch streamers and Reddit guys and people who had like crazy hours logged in the game, which I thought was really cool. And I think that was super awesome, man. And I think the feedback that those guys gave was probably invaluable for Bungie. So I would love to get the opportunity to see future projects for Diablo 3 or for Diablo 4 and have the option to give feedback to that. But I also think that feedback to Lone Star, do you guys want to toss me invite back to the game if you guys are still together? Or anybody from my previous team? I think it'd be really cool if the feedback forum had a community manager or somebody that was a little active in it and kind of summarize what a lot of the feedback they're getting is potentially and saying, hey, you know, this is kind of like a slight overview from 1,000 miles on what I talked to the devs about this week. You know, I think that'd be really cool. Nighthawk says, detailed thoughts on Division 2. It was good, man. I think it had a lot of bugs. I think it had a lot of bugs, and I'm not sure that I like some of the interface changes they made. I'm not sure. Like, we didn't get to see any of the sets. I hope there are sets still in the game. I haven't researched enough to know if they are or aren't, but I had a great time playing Division. I thought it was as good as I hoped it would be. I think it's going to be an amazing game to grind the shit out of. So I'm excited. The beta hyped up my my hype level. That's a really bad word. It hyped up my hype level. It made me more excited for the game. So it was +1. It was +1. Evil Lazy Boy says, what's your profession / job IRL? My official title is Director of IT. I'm a computer geek, man. I do all kinds of stuff in the IT world. A little bit of everything. Which is kind of cool because I get to do a lot of things at the same time. I don't necessarily have ridiculously crazy experience in any one department. I do a lot of a lot. I do a lot of stuff. So, but I work with technology all day, mainly computers. I'm a computer geek at heart. So. Stupendous says, why are you so awesome? I don't know, man. But thank you for thinking I'm awesome. Appreciate you. McGregor. Oh my god, the questions are legit, chat. McGregor says, how long does it take you to perfect that hair before the stream? It takes me probably about 60 seconds. Probably about 60 seconds, man. And I'm dying as I try to read them. OIO says, what classes are you hoping for in D4? Man, I don't really care, dude, as long as they're baller. I think the staples are gonna be there. I think we're gonna have a barbarian / warrior class. I think we're going to have a wizard / sorcerer class. I think we're going to have I hope we have a necromancer class. Those are the 3 staples that I would really like to see in the game. I think those personify Diablo to me. It's hard to envision Diablo game without a wizard, without a barbarian, and without some kind of necro. Like forever, I played Diablo 2 just a little bit. And when I played Diablo 2, I played a necromancer. And so to me, that was always my standard of what a necromancer should be. It was always, you know, this class that controlled undead minions, man. Like it was very fragile, but its pets, its minions were like kicking ass, you know. And it was, you know, so I really hope Necro's in there from the get-go. I hope we don't have to wait for a patch. So what do you mean what just happened, Nighthawk? What are you talking about? I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. So what do you think about a super short season? 2 weeks, everyone starts at Paragon 800, and you can buy non-ancient legendary items from the vendor's Season of Rapid Progression. If you're trying to throw links or it thinks you're throwing a link into the question, it's still going to get pissed off, by the way. This is a question for text, so be careful with your dot placement and don't try to throw links in there. If you try to throw a link in there, obviously I'm not going to click a link and read a link for your question, so just don't do that. But I don't know what exactly you guys are saying happened. Yeah, so a super short season. I think those could be cool. I think PoE does something like that, right? And I forget what exactly they call it, but I think 2 weeks is probably too long. If you're gonna do something like that, Sabnock Lone Star, thank you for the team, man. Thanks for carrying me in that rift while I was reading questions. You guys are awesome. I think 2 weeks is too long. I think you should do it for a weekend. I think they should have a weekend event that starts on a Friday and ends on Sunday night. And I don't think you should start with any Paragon. I think you should just play the game. Maybe they can increase drop rate so you can actually like complete a set during the weekend. No Hadra gifts, no dumb shit, man. Just play the game for the weekend, and then you could have leaderboards. You could have community leaderboards in your clan. You could do SSF shit. You could like there could be some really cool things with weekend events. I think that would be really, really cool. So, but I don't think 2 weeks would work out very well. I think the majority of people probably wouldn't like that. So. I Am Bloodshed says, would you like to see them continue season themes in D4? Man, that's such a loaded question because I don't even know what they're going to do in D4. I hope that D4 is drastically different and that season themes wouldn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? Because we already have Diablo 3, so Diablo 4 needs to be a different game. And it can have some of the same ARPG elements to it. But I want it to be, I want the in-game grind to just feel slightly different. But I don't know, man. It's hard to answer without seeing it. But yeah, rotating things I think are needed in any game. The end-game grind gets stale after a month or so, no matter what you're playing. Whether it's a BR, whether it's an RPG, you know. And I think that's one of the things that's contributed to World of Warcraft's success is World of Warcraft gets content patches every 3 to 6 months. They get big expansions every year and a half to 2 years. And I think that constant flux, the constant change, the constant grind, the new things to chase, your old shit's outdated, I need these new things now. I think that kind of keeps you sucked in. As long as the gameplay loop is fun, I think it'll keep you playing it. So this is what says, how old are you? I just had my birthday, man. Chat, tell them how old I am. Come on, chat. Redpool said, would you enjoy the Hades Diablo project that was canceled? It was supposed to be an over-the-shoulder Dark Souls style game. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm excited for any Diablo project they put out. So they canceled it or whatever, maybe because it sucked. So, I mean, I got to give them credit for that. But it would have been cool to at least see it. You know what I mean? Let's start a new raffle, guys, and then we're going to continue the Q&A, but I want to get people in here on my team and kill all the things. We are going to kill T13s, man. We're just gonna slay T13s. That's all we're gonna do. It's just while I'm doing the questions, I don't want to have to concentrate very hard, so we're just gonna smoke T13s and farm keys. If you want to help me do that, exclamation point raffle in chat. I don't care about your paragon, your skill, your gear. I can carry them if I need to. If you guys can help smoke them, that's awesome. So if you're super geared up and you're grinding keys, enter the raffle. We'll do it together. But yeah, man, I think it would have been really cool to see some of that Hades stuff, you know? I'm 37, or I'm 38, by the way. I just turned 38. Chat saying 37, 83, 38, 17. I'm 38. I didn't even know how old I was. I said the wrong age at first. Killfate says, if you were to change anything on Necromancer, what would be the number one? What would the number one ask be? If I were to change anything on Necro, oh man. There's two major things I'm gonna say. You said the number one, but there's two kind of fall in place. I think if I couldn't, the first thing I would say is I would like to change the sets so that you don't have multiple sets trying to use the same abilities. Like singularity mages should like belong to Rathma, but I don't want to see Tragghouls, and I don't want to see I just don't want to see all the sets using Corpse Lance. I think Corpse Lance is overused. I think the Pestilence set does it so much better, and I would like to see Tragghouls Blood like just go to something else altogether and use a different ability, so you kind of have a whole new thing. But if we're talking about not redesigning an entire set, I would say the Devour spam, the mechanics of the way Devour works, where you have to manually just mash the shit out of the key, is ridiculous, and I can't believe that actually passed Q&A, because it just encourages people to macro it and not actually play the class. And I think Talrasha Wizard is an example of a really good class design, because you don't have to continuously spam a button on cooldown. So either put auto cast in the game or change the abilities that require you to spam them on cooldown and take that out of the game and redesign them. I think autocast would actually be a really good solution, though. So that would be my biggest thing. But ultimately, I would like to see every class not share abilities. Like Corpse Lance should only be on one set. Multi-shot should only be on one set. Like N6, M4, and Marauders, like kind of like piggybacking off of each other. I would like to see those things kind of separated a little bit and have unique different play styles. Here's the great example is Sun Wukong Wave of Light and Inna's Wave of Light. They're like the same build, just different sets of gear. Separate it, man. Give Wave of Light to Sun Wukong and give Inna's like something else, completely different. You know what I mean? Anyways, I'm going to pick winners for this raffle. Let's get these winners in here. Silic12, what up, dude? Come help me get some keys. Voyage Sky, come help me get some keys. And Skyrel, come help me get some keys. Send me some messages in chat, boys. We're gonna farm it up. I'm gonna switch over to the Demon Hunter for this, just because I actually have a T13 set on him. We're gonna keep doing some questions. Red Pool says, why backpacks? So when I first started streaming Diablo, I needed a currency for my stream, and I used to do a lot of viewer runs and carry a lot of people. I kind of still do viewer runs now, although I don't think I have to carry as hard anymore. I think you guys are in general, I think the community's skill level has gone up. But backpacks, it was Jambi actually, one of my oldest community members, said something about let me hop in your backpack, and then that kind of started the conversation of backpacks, and like that should be my stream currency, and that's kind of just how we did it, man. If you guys are just tuning in, it's hard for me to read chat and read the questions at the same time, so thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you. Love you guys. As soon as we get done with the question section, man, I'll get back to trying to be a little bit more interactive with chat. I'm missing one member on the team. Oh, my headset just broke. Shane 2007 says, before Diablo 4 comes out, what kind of season buffs do you think you're looking for at the time being? So like, what current season buffs can we have? And that's such a great question, because I don't know what they got in store for us, but I hope it's awesome. I don't honestly, man, that's like $1 million question, right? Because I don't know what limitations the Blizzard team has, the Diablo team has to create things. I think the Royal Ring buff was actually really fucking cool, and I think it worked out really good. I hope that they can come up with things that are just as good, if not better. I think a really good idea that I've heard so far is the extra additional weapon slot in the Kanai Cube. I think that would be cool. I think that might be reaching a little bit, because to me it seems like that would take a lot of coding work to implement, but maybe it wouldn't, I don't know. But that would be a great start for next season, because that's going to open up so much build diversity, and it would add even more power creep in the game. Although I think some classes may benefit more from that. So I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a great idea. I think if they could introduce a new gym in the game that benefited every single class, that could be another cool idea. But a cool gym doesn't mean like Bane of the Trapped, where it's just like you get X amount of raw damage. It needs to be something mechanically, like if you do this or do that, you're going to get XYZ buff, you know, whether that's cooldown or attack speed or, you know, something. I don't know. That's a question that I look to you guys, man, because we have such a big community. It'd be awesome to see what you guys can come up with, if anybody can have that $1 million idea, you know. Silic12 says, what's one thing you in Diablo 3 you would like to see in Diablo 4? I don't know. That's a hard question, man, because I don't want to see much in Diablo 4. Deckard Cain? Honestly, that's not even a real answer. Like, Deckard's cool, but I don't really care. I honestly don't have an answer, because there's not a lot of things that I'm like, I would love to see in Diablo 4. I want to see new shit. So I don't want to see the same things. So nothing? Is nothing an answer? Is nothing. Oh, okay. I got something. I would say I would like to see the ability to have random generated maps, but I want to see those random generated maps go to the next level. I want to see vertical play space introduced, and here's my example on what I mean on this. If you look right now at this map, look how flat this is. There is no elevation, there is no change in the terrain whatsoever. This is flat, 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 flat. It's like we're playing on a basketball court. We're playing on a football field. There needs to be elevation changes in it, and I just don't mean steps. Like nobody, like these steps right here. That's nothing. Like we need hills. We need just different. Like I don't know. It like this is so 45-degree angle down, 45-degree angle up. You know, we need more than that. So that's what I'm gonna say. Wisdom TV says, do you think Ralamandi consumable cubes should be usable on necks and rings? I think it would be really cool if they introduced more consumable items. I think consumables are a great thing to chase for, and not only that, you consume them, you use them up, so after you get it, it's gone. So if you put in a cube, for example, that gives you a socket on a neck piece or a socket on a ring, and you made the drop rate really, really stupidly low, like let's say you get like 2 or 3 a season, that'd be baller, man. That would be so awesome. You're gonna get that GG neck piece and you're gonna be like, oh my god, I need a neck cube. I need a neck cube so bad. I need a ring cube. I need a primal reroll cube. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. Consumables are amazing for the game, and I think they'd be really cool, man. Reflex said, do you think more games will be released like Apex Legends? No marketing hype, just get the game stand on its own with its own merits? I don't know, man. It came out of nowhere, didn't it? Apex Legends is killing it, and we knew nothing about it. They flew in some big BR streamers to get their input. They signed NDAs, so they couldn't talk about it. And then, bam, it just dropped. So, I think it's cool. I do think it's cool. At the same time, I think it also promotes like the secrecy that we hate. Like, what if Diablo 4 just dropped next? Like, you know, what if Blizzard says Diablo 4 and they drop it like 3 days later? We'd be hype as fuck. It would absolutely destroy us, right? Like our worlds would be upside down. But at the same time, how much good would it do for the community for us to have knowledge of it, that it's coming, they're working on it, get feedback from us? So I think the Apex Legends strategy worked extremely well for them, and I'm happy. I think also, the BR community was starving for a new game that wasn't Fortnite, especially the streamers that play, you know, 60 hours a week every week for the last year and a half. Ninja, Doc, you know, Tim, Shroud, all those dudes that just ground Fortnite nonstop all day, every day. I'm sure they love it, you know. But it's pretty cool how they kept it under wraps for us for so long, right? I haven't even played Apex Legends. I've heard nothing but good shit about that game. Everybody I talk to that plays it says it's fun. Everybody. So, it's pretty cool. Nighthawk says, any tips on getting a Skullgrass ring? You spent way too many mats trying to get it. It's just a random drop, unfortunately, man. You just gotta grind, grind, grind. And hopefully, you will get one that drops, man. You can upgrade yellows like you said you're already doing. So other than that, try to get in games with other barbs and tell them that you need it, and hopefully somebody can hook you up. My Halo of Karini was extremely difficult for me to get. I ended up getting mine from a party member. So That's the best advice that I can give, dude. Who am I gambling this dude? Quivers? The next question we got comes from Arcade Oracle. He says, what is your feeling on the next Diablo being a games as a service or a competitive esports? It'd be hard to make an ARPG a competitive esport game. They couldn't even get PvP worked out in Diablo 3. They talked about it and they could never even get it to work, so they dropped it. So I would say I don't think a competitive game would be what the community wants. I don't think that would go over super well. Unless it had a really amazing as hell PvE mode to accompany that. And I don't think that would be the case. Too much balancing to have diversity that would make the game interesting. But a games as a service, so I'm assuming you mean like a subscription-based service. Or a serviceable game where there's constant DLCs and things like that to keep you investing your money in the game to support it. I think that'd be fine. I'm down with that, man. I pay a WoW subscription. I had no problem with it. I buy DLCs for Destiny. I have no problem with it. I would buy more DLCs for Diablo if they would make them. So I don't have a problem with a 3-month DLC cycle. I think that would be fucking amazing. And that way, if the DLC sucks, you don't even have to buy it. Skip it, you know? So I'm down. I'm down to pay a company money to have a good product, man. I have no issues with that whatsoever. Durko Knight says, I noticed you're using diamonds instead of topaz in your gear. Any reasons why? I'm not sure what character I was on. Was I on my wizard at the time? Probably that wizard is extremely new, and I was having toughness issues when I was trying to do metas. So I probably put the diamonds in for a little bit extra resistance, because overall they give you a little bit more toughness than the topaz, although it's not a whole lot. But in all honesty, like now my gear's good enough I can switch them back out to normal things. So it was just a new character issue. Zombie Wolf says, should they open a real money auction house in D4? Fuck no. End of question. F no. Don't do it. How big are augments and pushing a greater rift on Impale? Pretty important, man. Augments are huge, dude. They like, let's just say you did 100s. A 100 augment is 500 of your main stats. So 500 of your main stat, roughly. This is a rough estimation that you can use for your augments. It's roughly 100,000 sheet damage, roughly. That's kind of like the generic as hell number that I go by. So if you did 13 augments on all your gear at 100, I mean, that's 1.3 million damage. The changes from character to character and things, and there's diminishing returns and all kinds of weird shit to multiply. But it's important, man. It makes a really big difference. And not only that, I think a lot of people overlook not even the damage, but the toughness you get from those stats as well. If you want to see the difference of 500 intellect, or let's say you did 500 times 10, you know, 5,000 intellect, drop your paragon points out of your main stat and see how much of a difference it makes in your damage and your toughness. It's pretty noticeable. So yes, it definitely matters. Solison says, am I going to try out Apex Legends? Man, I think I'm going to have to at some point, right? Because everybody is saying the game is super fun. Everybody. I haven't talked to a single person that played it that was like, this game sucks. Nobody. That's like, people, if you ask people about Fortnite, they're going to be like, oh, Fortnite sucks. It's like Minecraft. Or, oh, the gunplay feels like shit. You know, somebody complains about something. Does anybody in chat played Apex Legends and just been like, this game is booty, that's an actual shooter player that enjoys shooters. You know, if you don't like shooters, then of course it makes sense. What do you think about having a bigger boss in D4 where you can team up with 8 players, upgrade the difficulty, receive better rewards? I think 8-player multiplayer would be amazing, and I would love to see that in the game. That's why I was kind of hoping for a Diablo 2 remaster to get more people in the game. The more people you can get in the game, I'm all about. I think 8 players would probably be a perfect party size. Although, I would hate to see them make endgame content require 8 players. And it probably would. It always usually requires maximum players for the endgame content. So I don't know, man. There's a very fine line there, because think about trying to get 8 people to push metas, you know, that wouldn't be fun. So you got to be careful what you wish for, man. We'd really have to sit there and analyze. We'd really have to analyze, like, do we want 8 players? And if we do, what would we be willing to give up to get that? And how would we make an end game that doesn't require 8 players all the time, you know? What's a story or something fun you wanted to share on stream but never had a good opportunity to bring up? I don't know, man. That's a kind of on the spot question. And usually if I wanted to tell a story, I'll just tell it. So it's probably something embarrassing that I wouldn't share. I don't really know. I don't have anything super awesome to tell at the moment. So if I think of something during this you know, this question and answer section, I'll drop it for you. I'll keep that in mind. I forgot to set the cooldown for questions, so I'm sorry, dudes. Best question of the night: what did they put a new vendor in that you receive mats on set items after so many mats of different sets? You go to the vendor and choose open a pack and receive ancient set items. I don't necessarily like that. I think getting gear in the game is already too easy, and I think we need to chase items longer. I think the primal hunt that we have now is actually pretty damn good. I know we all bitch and complain about, oh, I get shit primals, I get shit primals. And I think that's just kind of the fun of farming primals, because when you get that primal weapon, you're like, oh my god, you're excited, right? So I kind of think chasing ancient items and chasing primal items is where the replayability comes in Diablo. Because it's definitely not from doing bounties. Like, if bounties were the end game, nobody would play the game. If doing set dungeons were the end game, nobody would play the game. Grinding rifts is okay, but that's not what's fun. What's fun is getting those ancients and primals at the end of the game, at the end of the rift, you know? Chasing the gear. So if you give gear away too easily, it takes that chase away. It takes that thrill away. I think the Hadrig's gifts should go too, personally. As much as I like them, it's cool to get that juice right off the start of the season. It takes the joy out of, oh my god, I finally got a set together. Now I can turn the difficulty up. That doesn't even exist anymore. You guys remember like season 1, season 2, when you started the season up and you didn't get those gifts? I don't think you got the Hadrig's gifts back then, did we? And it took forever to get the sets. Man, I remember chasing Leapquake forever. I don't know if it was vanilla or if it was season 1 or 2, but when I finally got my Leapquake going, I was like, oh my god. Lazy says, do you think they're ever gonna let us roll the orange stat on Legos that roll well but have a shit orange stat? I don't know, man. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? I don't think they're ever gonna let us, but I think that's a great idea. That would be cool, man, because sometimes you get that juicy ancient, like let's say you get a Death Wish that rolls perfect stats, area damage, int, 10% damage, and then it drops with like 200 channeling damage bonus on it, and you're like, fuck, man. So I'm with you. They should. It would be a great idea. It would be a wonderful idea. Red Bull said, would you like to see season themes roll over to the next season? Depends on the theme, man. I really like this Royal Ring season. I think it would be really cool to have that forever. But it depends. Like, if they give us some juice next season, we might forget all about the Royal Ring buff and not even care anymore, right? So I guess it depends on how good the season themes are. And if they all rolled over, like, eventually you're going to stack up non-season to a point where it's just like everybody's doing a 150 naked, you know? So you really can't power creep that hard. What if they had a seasonal theme where you got to pick? You got a choice, man. It's like you can pick one of these 3 different... Like, what if they added a thing to the cube where it's like, pick your buff, man. You can have a free... seasonal theme. Whether, like, and that's not even limiting to items. Like, what if they make some crazy cool seasonal theme and then you can just pick it? I don't know. That'd be awesome. Think outside the box of just items. McGregor says, how would you feel about Diablo 4 being a third-person camera ARPG similar to Elder Scrolls Online or WoW, but not tab targeting? I'd be down to try it. I think ARPGs have this over-the-shoulder isometric view that kind of makes them what they are. But I'd be down if Blizzard makes a game, I expect it to be good. So I didn't even realize we lost somebody. So I would be down, man. I think that they could pull it off. I think they really could. I think some of the problems you're gonna run into if you have an over-the-shoulder action style game, it's the environments are probably a lot more difficult to generate. I think it would be really hard to generate environments for that. So. Mike said, top wizards are put VIT in from their Paragon with all the gear they wear with no VIT. I swear they have 450k life. It's insane. Yeah, my Star Pact wizard doesn't have very much HP either. It feels really, really squishy. I'm not a top Star Pact wizard though, so I can't really account for all the stat choices they make. Man, I'm still learning how to play it. But I can tell you that my HP is low and I feel super squish. So I think you got to have some really good support characters to keep your butt alive. You really need your teammates to do their job well. If you have bad teammates, you're definitely going to die. Maxim says, what is one thing you would change about D3? I kind of answered this a little bit with Killfate's question, but I would like to see every class set target a different ability. I don't want to see sets sharing abilities like Wave of Light. Like Wave of Light doing... The fuck was that? Like Wave of Light being on Inna's and Sun Wukong. I don't even want to see that be a thing. I wanted to see it be impossible for sets to double stack abilities. That way we have more unique things to play. I think it would make the game interesting. Yakovac says, do you not miss the gritty, dirty feeling of snowing in New York in Division 2? I feel like Division 2 has too much sun in it. I honestly, man, I do. I think that the snow in New York in Division 1 was super awesome. I absolutely love the environment they created. I think it felt really cool. So yeah, dude, a little bit. I'm not gonna judge yet until we actually get to play it. I did get to experience the rainstorm in Division 2, I don't know if any of you guys got to see that, but man, it was super awesome. It felt so cool. The rain looked cool. The sound effects were amazing. So that was pretty cool, man. Kodak said, what do you think about having a primal vendor where you turn in like 10 or 20 primals to get that one of a primal you really want and choose the stats on it? So that would be like an ultimate GG weapon. I don't think that would be a good thing, because ultimately, I don't know, man. That's a loaded question, because I think botters and cheaters would ultimately ruin the game by getting full GG primals in every single slot. But at the same time, you can't base a game around the cheaters and hackers anyways. So I think you should be able to re-roll a primal with a currency. That would be a currency dump, like primal dust. And then you can continuously do that until you get your GG primal. And that would make it really, really difficult. But I would be down for a primal dust thing. I don't think I like a vendor that just gives it to you. I think that's a little OP. A little bit OP. Zombie says, do you think Blizzard should specifically have a program that scans servers for people using bots and ban them? Yeah, man. I think Blizzard kind of does do some things. I just don't know how hard it is to play cat and mouse and false positives and all that kind of weird shit. But yeah, dude, I'm all about the fair play. So I think if everybody was scared to use bots because they were going to lose their account and it was the even playing field, I think we'd see a lot less people that average 22 hours a day. And it would be a much more even playing field for everybody. We're going to do the questions, guys, for probably like another 10 or 15 minutes. I don't know how many more we have in the queue. There are a couple oversights. This is the first time I've done the question and answer section. So thanks everybody for participating, throwing your questions in there. If I don't end up getting to your question, man, I'm sorry. Normally, I meant to put a timeout on the amount of time people had to wait to ask. So I know a couple guys have had multiple questions in there, and if yours doesn't get answered, I apologize. Any updates on podcast guests? I've reached out to a couple people. Some of them said that they were interested. We're trying to figure out a time on when we can get them on, because it's kind of hard to, schedule people in that specific time slot that we run the podcast on. And then some people said that they weren't interested in doing it. So back to the drawing board. So no real updates or announcements, man. As soon as we get one, we will definitely announce it on the podcast. But I haven't been able to get people 100% locked in yet. But we're working on it, man. We're working on it. Alphabetical said, what about GG normal piece of gear that you could choose over any ancient, but you can't aug it? Be sweet to have some currency or a cube item that makes ancient aug rare, of course. Thoughts? Where does this GG piece of gear come from? I think the current system to get equipment in Diablo is pretty good, if not maybe a little too generous. I think it might be too easy to get basic pieces, and I think the primal drop rate is on a pretty fair system, personally. I think if you want the GG primals, you got to put in the work to get them, and you're not guaranteed to get a full set. I think that's amazing. So I'm pretty happy with the current system, to be honest with you. I wish we had more diversity in builds. I think that would go further than people getting the things they want faster. If you got your full set of ancient gear in 2 weeks, you wouldn't play the season anymore. You'd be done. Traumatic KCs, would you like a better, longer story that's in depth and intriguing in Diablo 4? Yes and no. The campaign's really cool to play through once. The end game loot cycle, the grind, is what we come back for, and that's what we spend thousands of hours playing. So if I had to pick, I would want more money spent and more development time spent in the end game loop and the end game activities that keep us coming back on a daily basis. The story is really cool, and amazing stories like God of War, for example. God of War was the best single player campaign I've probably ever played. But it's not going to be the same the second time I play it, because I already know what's going to happen. And I'm probably maybe going to replay it once every 5, 6, 7 years, if that. So I would prefer that money get spent in an endgame loop that I'm going to grind and grind and grind and grind for thousands of hours. All right, dudes, that's all the questions, man. So thank you guys for doing that first Q&A session, dudes. That was pretty damn awesome. Pretty damn awesome. I am going to end it there.